NASCAR is in the middle of one of its biggest challenges. A landmark court ruling on December 18th has shaken the foundation of its governance. This decision granted charter status to two racing teams, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports, for the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season. For NASCAR, this is not just a legal setback, but a wake-up call that raises deeper questions about how the sport is managed.
Ryan Blaney has won his way into the championship.
A great day for Kyle Larson.
Seventh career win in his 100th.
Joey Logano takes the checkered flag. Hell yeah, boy!
This all began with NASCAR's firm stance on controlling its team agreements and how the sport operates. The organization believed it had the upper hand in this legal battle, but everything changed when new evidence surfaced and a fresh perspective from Judge Kenneth D. Bell came into play. His ruling pointed out two critical problems with NASCAR's approach. First, it became clear that the teams, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports, would suffer irreparable harm if they were forced to race as open teams without charter status. Second, the court determined that NASCAR's prohibition against lawsuits from its teams as part of the charter system violated federal antitrust laws. These two factors were enough to tip the scales in favor of the teams. The immediate impact of the ruling was chaotic for NASCAR. Before the decision, the organization had been so confident in its position that it excluded 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports from its 2025 season planning. It even redistributed prize money that would have gone to these teams to other organizations. This strategy now appears short-sighted. By underestimating the strength of the team's case, NASCAR not only exposed its own disorganization, but also created financial headaches. The court has forced NASCAR to allocate millions in pool money to the two teams, money that had already been earmarked for other teams and promotional activities. This has disrupted NASCAR's plans for the upcoming season and forced it to rethink its financial priorities. A particularly striking aspect of this case is the involvement of Michael Jordan. His team argued that the payments they were seeking were not a financial windfall, but rather compensation for the commitments they had made under the charter system. These commitments include participating in all races, granting NASCAR rights to their intellectual property, and adhering to strict guidelines. The court agreed with the team, adding weight to the argument that NASCAR needs to reevaluate how it handles agreements with its teams. The case has also exposed deeper tensions within the sport. NASCAR's claims that these teams do not share its vision for growing the Cup Series now ring hollow when contrasted with its monopolistic practices. By alienating high-profile team owners like Michael Jordan, NASCAR risks losing more than just this court case. It risks losing its credibility, its stability, and possibly its long-term future. The antitrust violations raised in this case are not just legal issues. They are symbolic of a sport struggling to adapt to a changing landscape where newer, ambitious teams want a larger say in how things are run. Despite the challenges, this moment also presents an opportunity for NASCAR to modernize and reform. To move forward, NASCAR must first engage in open and transparent negotiations with 23XI Racing, Front Row Motorsports, and other stakeholders. A settlement could help de-escalate tensions and restore some stability. Compromises on revenue sharing and a revised charter agreement that addresses antitrust concerns could bring teams back to the negotiating table. Offering incentives such as enhanced marketing opportunities or shared promotional campaigns could also help align everyone's interests. Beyond the immediate legal battle, NASCAR needs to take a hard look at its charter system. This system, meant to create a stable framework for teams, now appears outdated and inflexible. Revising it to better balance the autonomy of teams with NASCAR's overarching goals is crucial. Adding pathways for open teams to transition into charter status, while also protecting against future antitrust issues, would show NASCAR's commitment to fairness and progress. These changes could help rebuild trust with teams and ensure a healthier relationship moving forward. The involvement of Michael Jordan and his team brings another layer of opportunity. Jordan's global reputation could be leveraged to promote the sport to new audiences. NASCAR could use this moment to show its willingness to embrace diversity and innovation. By framing the court ruling as part of a broader effort to modernize, NASCAR could attract new fans, teams, and sponsors sponsors. Strategic marketing campaigns emphasizing competitive racing and fresh narratives could shift the focus away from the legal turmoil and back onto the excitement of the sport. Financially, NASCAR must tread carefully. The ruling has already created unexpected financial obligations, so the organization needs to reassess its spending priorities. Delaying or scaling back non-essential projects could free up resources for more impactful initiatives such as fan engagement and new sponsorships. This approach would help NASCAR weather the financial storm without compromising its long-term goals. One of the biggest challenges NASCAR faces is the growing divide between teams. There is tension between the 13 teams that signed the original charter agreement and those that didn't. Bridging this gap is critical for the sport's future. NASCAR could create regular forums for teams to express their concerns and collaborate on solutions. Initiatives that benefit all teams, such as joint marketing efforts or revenue-sharing programs, could foster a sense of unity. Demonstrating a willingness to listen and adapt policies based on team feedback would go a long way in rebuilding trust and creating a more stable environment. The legal battle is far from over, and NASCAR must prepare for the long haul. While this ruling is a setback, it is not the end of the story. Recently, NASCAR faced one of its biggest challenges yet. This legal showdown began when the two teams refused to accept what they called a take-it-or-leave-it revenue-sharing agreement from NASCAR. The disagreement grew larger, leading to an antitrust lawsuit with the teams accusing NASCAR of monopolistic practices. They argue that the current system unfairly benefits the organization at the expense of racing teams. Michael Jordan did not mince words, calling NASCAR and its leadership bullies who needed to be challenged. The battle reached a crucial point when a U.S. District Court judge granted the teams a preliminary injunction, allowing them to compete as charter teams in the 2025 season. To understand the gravity of this issue, it is essential to know what a charter means in NASCAR. Essentially, a charter is like a golden ticket. It guarantees teams a spot in every race, a share of the prize money, and other privileges that help them sustain their operations. Without a charter, teams have to fight for their place in every race, often at great financial risk. The current dispute highlights how the system, introduced in 2016, has created challenges for teams to stay afloat. Since its inception, only 8 of the original 19 teams that signed up have survived. This alarming statistic underscores the struggles faced by smaller teams, even those with significant achievements. Take, for example, Furniture Row Motorsports, a team that won the NASCAR Cup Series championship in 2017 but folded just a year later due to financial difficulties. The lawsuit brought forward by 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports argues that NASCAR's model forces teams into agreements they cannot refuse because there is no real competition in the sport. According to the teams, the system is designed to benefit NASCAR and its leadership, leaving teams with little room for negotiation or growth. One of the most significant lessons from this situation is the importance of unity within the sport. The divide between chartered and non-chartered teams reflects deeper issues that need immediate attention. Now, before you leave, don't forget to give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell to stay updated about everyday news of NASCAR.